All right, this is the second video on Structs. The first one was just the introduction. Well, it's not an introduction to you all. Was a review of what Structs were, and I feel confident that this is a review too. This is arrays of Structs. So this is a program I just threw together. Usually when I'm working with programs, I work with a lot of sports stuff. I like numbers. Numbers kind of just lend themselves to some of these programs, so that I use them quite often. All right, here's one. It's just called, it looks like the back of a baseball card, okay? I made a struct, baseball stats. And in this baseball stats struct is a little bit of everything. I got two strings, one for first name, one for last name. I got two characters, two chars, bats and throws. And if you look on the back of a lot of baseball cards, you'll see just L and right for throws, L and R, L for left-handed and R for right-handed. So I've got chars for bats and throws. All right, float batting average. For you non-sports fans, batting average is usually um, three digits past the decimal point. Somebody bats 300, they're saying it's 0.300. All right, so I made a float out of that. Home runs, I made ints, and RBIs, I made ints because you can't hit half a home run, you can't hit have half an RBI. Before I scroll on down, look up at the preprocessor directives. Nothing fancy up here. I've got fstream up here because what I'm going to do is, instead of you just sitting and letting you watch me type these numbers in as a regular input, I'm going to open up a file that I've got and bring these in to an array. Let me see. Here's a file that I made. You can see I've got Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Ty Cobb, Ted Williams, Willie Mays, and Albert Pujols, and I've got numbers just thrown in. I'm going to open up this file and read it in. So like I said, you don't have to watch me typing. All right, so there's my struct, baseball stats. Let's go down to the program. I'm going to make a constant int. I'm going to say the number of players is 6 because that's the number of players I made on the text file. And here is my array of baseball stats. I'm going to call it players, and it's going to be, there's going to be 6 of them, num players. There's my constant there. This is actually a good review of what we just went over with files, because this is kind of bare bones. You see, I don't have any comments in my program. Don't think I just don't like to distract when I'm making these videos with lots of text. I want your eyes to focus on what I'm working on. Here's my fstream file. I open the file, which I've got under my CIS 114. All right, and I'm just bringing stuff in. I'm not writing anything out. I'm just bringing stuff in. It's all one way. And here we go. If the file opens, I want it to read all this data into the structs. All right. I know that there's 6 players. Okay, I made the file. As a programmer, you're in control. You can do anything you want with this. So I made the for loop up to num players. One at a time, it's going to read in F name, last name, first name, last name. Those are strings. Bats, throws. Those are characters. Batting average, that's a float. Home runs, ints. Then it's going to loop and get the next player. So through this, it's going to go through 6 times, and it's going to retrieve all of this data. It's going to put it in players 0. Well, the first one's going to be players 0. I think I made that Babe Ruth. All right, then it's going to go through. It just increments through, and it's going to fill each player's struct. All right. If the file doesn't open, and it's always good practice, even if you do something bare bones like I did, definitely have a fail-safe where you can tell that when I wrote this the first time, I made some mistake, and this actually did pop up. I think I put the file in the wrong directory. So it did. It popped up file error, file didn't open. It can save you time in troubleshooting your program. All right, and here's my output. Okay, just a basic for loop, and then I'm going to output all of the data. And it's just like if you're handling an array of structs, it's just like handling a single struct. The name I'm going to output players 0 at first name, players 0 last name. I'm just going to fill out their whole um, baseball record, just like the back of a baseball card. And I'm going to loop through and do players 1. I forget who that is. So it's really convenient working with structs. And I say this firsthand because the largest program I've ever written by myself was part of my master's work. I was doing it was an independent study on college football players, trying to predict um, how college football players would do as pros. All right, what's their chances of making it to the pros and succeeding? And I had 6,000 ball players, 1,000 ball players for the last 6 years, and their college statistics, college dimensions, where they're from. So I think I figured up as 100,000, 180,000 pieces of information. And for that to sort it and everything, I put it in Structs. It was 6,000 players and 180,000 pieces of information. I put it in Structs. So these programs can get really large. And if you write them right, they're really convenient. So here, I'll show you this one working. It's going to pick, again, here's my input. You can see nothing special about it. It's going to open the file and it's going to fill all 6 structs, an array of 6 structs. Let me run the debugger. So there you see it. It prints out Babe Ruth, left, his batting average, home run 714, RBIs 2,174. So I took that raw data, which looked really crappy, and put it in the structs and output it and did the output where it looks like this. So this is, if you want to take a look at the code again, there's the code, nothing special about it. This is kind of the last review on structs. I think everything we'll talk about in the next video and the beginning of class on Monday night will be new material on structs.